Welcome to TalkNorth.com. Thanks to our longtime producer, Brandon Morton. Please download before you listen. If you'd like to advertise with us, you can reach us at talknorthpodcast@gmail.com. And please follow us on Twitter at TalkNorthPod. Two promo codes to be aware of. BiteSquad.com. Use the promo code TalkNorth to get your first delivery free. And go to SodaStick.com, the great local apparel company. Use the promo code YouBetcha to get free shipping on any sized order.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Double S anytime, man.
Turn this thing up. Let's do this.
Hey, thanks for having me, Steven.
Always passionate, always fiery. You're listening to the Strom Sports Show. Take it away, Steven.
Thank you, Mr. Robbie Rosenhaus, and welcome into another edition here of the Strom Sports Show. Steven Strom here, TalkNorth.com. Big shout out to my producer, Brandon Morton, Matt Augusta. And if you want to advertise with us, contact Jim Suhan on our website. Just visit TalkNorth.com. It's great to have you with us today. College football is officially back. Cannot wait to get into that. Let's just preview the show really quickly. We've got Chris Lowe, ESPN senior writer for college football. He'll come on and join me and talk about everything college football as I try to get you guys ready for another intense season of college football. There are a boatload of stories. I think there's about 5 or 6 teams that can win a national championship. I know some people think that it's just Clemson and Alabama, but I believe that it is more than that. We will also get into what might be the best signing of the MLB offseason. I will talk a little bit about that. But before, let's begin here with my 3 things to look out for in 4 words for this college football season. We love the 4-word game, so we'll continue it here. There are a bunch of storylines that I want to get into throughout the year, really, but I really wanted to give you my predictions, and I'll give you my 3 predictions for this college football season. It is loaded with talent this year. Quarterback-wise, there are at least, you can name off the top of your head 5 or 6 of them that are going to go to the NFL next year. Tua, you've got Jake Fromm, you've got Jalen Hurts, Justin Herbert. So if you look at it from that perspective, there's a bunch of quarterback talent in this year's college football season. But let's begin here with my first one of the show. Urban out, Jim in. Yes, this needs to be the year for Michigan. There is no excuses this year with Urban Meyer out. Dwayne Haskins is gone. Ohio State has a new coach in Ryan Day. We know he interned last year for a couple of games while Urban was suspended, but they have a new quarterback coming in, Justin Fields. If you don't remember Justin Fields, he was the number 1 quarterback in high school a few years ago, and he committed to Georgia. He thought he was going to start over Jake Fromm. Kirby Smart had other ideas, and so did Jake Fromm. Now he is at Ohio State. This is more about Michigan, though, than Ohio State. Michigan needs to win a Big Ten title. Jim Harbaugh needs to win a Big Ten title. And I think this is the year they finally get that eluded playoff berth that they've been looking for. Listen, Michigan's Achilles heel is finally gone, and that's Urban Meyer. They returned Shea Patterson, their senior, their guy, the transfer from Ole Miss. Last year was his first year with Michigan. He threw for 22 touchdowns, 7 interceptions, 2,600 yards. He gets all 3 of his wide receivers back in Nico Collins, Donovan Peoples-Jones, and Tariq Black. By the way, that wide receiving core right there, that could be one of the best cores in the country, in my opinion. I think you get all 3 of those guys back coming off great years. That is a scary, scary trio at wide receiver for Michigan. They are going to also change their style of offense, right? Michigan has always been about that ground and pound, and that's been Harbaugh's identity too. Even in San Francisco, it was always ground and pound. He came to Michigan, it was ground and pound. We're going to go play action, kind of that pro-style offense, old school. They're going to change that this year. I was reading an article, the offensive coordinator is going to go up tempo. They're going to give a lot more freedom to Shea Patterson. You almost felt like Harbaugh may have held him back a little of what he was capable of doing because it was his first year. And Harbaugh, let's be honest here, he's stubborn. And all coaches are stubborn, but especially him. He may have not wanted him to do certain things, or maybe he didn't think that Shea Patterson can do certain things. There is no holding back this year. It's Shea Patterson's senior year, and I think if Michigan doesn't win a Big Ten title, I think it's Harbaugh's last year too. I really do believe that. I think he's off to the NFL if he doesn't win that Big Ten title this year. They've got a tricky schedule early. They play Army, and Army returns their starting quarterback, Kelvin Hopkins. Army's coming off back-to-back 10-win season, so that's a little tricky early. And then they have Wisconsin in Madison. We know Wisconsin is going to be a lot better than they were last year. They added this freshman quarterback that supposedly is very good. You know that they're going to be able to run the ball, so that's going to be a tricky game. But to me, it was about the revenge tour last year, and they were doing that pretty well up until the Ohio State game. We know they dropped one against Notre Dame, but I think this year is more about their revenge games. You have Notre Dame October 26th, which is a night game, and then you have Ohio State November 30th. Those two, Notre Dame and Ohio State, both at home, you have to win those games. Don Brown defensively for the Michigan Wolverines has done a phenomenal job there, so you have to expect their defense, even though they lost some dudes, Rashad Gary, they lost some pretty valuable pieces defensively, but they returned some guys on defense that you expect to make a big impact. Jim Harbaugh is 38-14, okay? No one's disputing the man that he can coach. We know that he can coach. But can he take that next step and elevate this Michigan program to what they really were? I mean, Michigan went through a really tough spout with Brady Hoke, with Rich Rodriguez. I mean, it has been a very turbulent type of, couple of years here of Michigan football. That needs to change. I think he will do that. Urban out. Jim in. That is my first one here. Michigan wins the Big Ten title, and I think they get to a playoff berth, and they get to finally that college football playoff. Next one here, 4 words. Here we go. No Heisman for Oklahoma. We know Oklahoma. They had back-to-back Heisman winners in Baker Mayfield and Kyler Murray. Both are transfers. Now you have the transfer in Jalen Hurts. You're starting to hear the media. Okay, third time. What's it going to happen? First of all, I don't think that the committee would give Oklahoma this back-to-back. I mean, 2 times is rare enough. But Oklahoma last year, unbelievable, 48 points per game last year. Their offense was it was a juggernaut. It was better than a juggernaut. I don't even know what the word to describe it as. But Lincoln Riley has shown that his offense is all about making the right reads, being extremely quick, get through your progressions, and deliver accurate balls. I do not think that Jalen Hurts is that quarterback. They lost 4 of their 5 offensive linemen to the NFL draft. They lost Marquise Hollywood Brown to the Ravens. He was their best receiver. Although they returned C.D. Lamb, who is the second best wide receiver on this team, I just think when I look at Kyler Murray and Baker Mayfield, the common denominator in the 2 winners were they were extremely accurate, they went through their progressions fluently, and they delivered the ball on time. Hurts had a lot of success at Alabama. Nobody is denying that. But I think that Jalen Hurts didn't have to do the type of things Baker and Kyler had to do to get to the record they had. You got to think, Jalen Hurts is at Alabama. As a quarterback at Alabama, you basically just have to game manage. You don't have to be great because of everything around you. He's definitely going to help the program. He's had some huge wins in his career. He's a veteran kind of locker room guy. Everything that I've watched with Lincoln Riley is that Jalen Hurts has fit in. But I just think that this is going to be a struggle. They are going to struggle defensively like they were terrible last year. Oh my God, they were so bad. They were able to overcome those defensive struggles because of how dominant Kyler Murray was in that offense. I don't think that's the case this year. I actually think Texas is better than them, and I think Iowa State is up there as well. Oklahoma is going to struggle this year because Jalen Hurts is not your prototypical pocket passer, because I don't think that he can deliver balls accurately like Kyler Murray and Baker Mayfield were able to do last year. This is a huge year for Lincoln Riley. We will see. Is it the quarterback or is it the system? Because that's the biggest question mark with Lincoln Riley. He's had Baker, he's had Kyler, and he has this system that a lot of people love. What's it going to be like this year? No Heisman this year for Oklahoma. That's my 4 words for you. No Heisman for Oklahoma. Last one here, and this is not a hot take. I don't want people thinking I'm not a hot take king at all. and people know that I'm realistic and I'll base my opinion off facts. Don't sleep on LSU. That's my 4 words. I understand they're in the SEC West. Yes, I understand that Alabama, Auburn, Texas A&M, it's the best conference in college football, hands down. But hear me out. Joe Burrow, the transfer from Ohio State, 23 touchdowns, 5 interceptions last year for LSU, 3,000 yards, 57% completion record. You want to see that go up, but his top targets will be back this year. They return 8 defensive starters on that defensive end. I think LSU has the best defense in college football, 10 wins last year. Here's what I like about LSU. Their schedule. And not the teams they're playing, the timing of when they have their bye. They have 4 games, and then they have a bye. They have 4 games again, and then they have a bye. The schedule is very nice in terms of timing. They have the best safety also in college football in Grant Delpit. They have a tricky schedule early. They go to Texas on September 7th, and then they are back-to-back, Auburn and Alabama in October. Here's why, and it's more about Alabama's schedule on why I think LSU is going to win the SEC West. Listen to some of these places that Alabama has to go to. These are all road games. They have to go to Auburn, who you got to assume this might be Gus Malzahn's last season if he doesn't elevate his program to at least 9-10 wins this year, and they're starting a true freshman in Bo Nix. But Alabama has to go to Auburn, which is always tough, the Iron Bowl. Then they have to go to Texas A&M, which we know, Jimbo Fisher, this is now year 2 or 3 with him. You know Texas A&M is going to be a factor in the SEC. That's a terrible, terrible, very tough environment to play in. And then they go to Mississippi State, who has a great defense. We know they lost Marquez Sweat, but Mississippi State is another game where it's tricky. It's very tricky. And I know everyone is looking at Alabama and they're locking them in the SEC West. I think this is the year we see LSU win the SEC West. I just have this feeling inside of me. And it's honestly, it's because of the hype around Clemson and Alabama. Everyone is, oh my gosh, Clemson, Alabama, 12-0, no one's going to touch them. You got to remember, this is college football, and same thing applies to Clemson. The ACC is going to be a lot better this year. They're not going to be able to play Pitt in the ACC championship. I think that Florida State's going to be better. I think that Miami's going to be better. So let's not lock in these.
And we're joined by ESPN College Football Senior writer Chris
Don't sleep on LSU.
Does a phenomenal job. Chris, Steven Strom here of TalkNorth.com. Thank you very much for carving out some time for me today.
All right, Chris Lowe, ESPN Senior writer.
It's great to have you. We're going to go around the country today.
He is up next.
And we're
going to break down everything we need to know about the upcoming 2019
I look at the preseason top 10. I want to think there's about 3 or 4 teams outside of Alabama and Clemson that can win a national title. I like Georgia, I like LSU, Oklahoma, and Ohio State. But for you, Chris, is this just a 2-team fight between Alabama and Clemson, or do you think we can see some teams challenge them?
No, I don't think it's a 2-team fight. I mean, keep in mind, the last 2 times Georgia has played Alabama, they've had them on the ropes. They just couldn't finish the job. You got to learn how to finish games. And, you know, when I spent some time with Kirby Smart this year and the players, I mean, they all talked at length about that. So they're right there. Oklahoma, you know, has had an awful start to that game last year against Alabama. The first quarter and a half. After that, you know, they settled in and played pretty good football. What I think the most compelling storyline would be an Oklahoma-Alabama championship game. You know, Jalen Hurts getting a shot at Alabama, going Tagovailoa against Jalen Hurts. That would be something. But no, I mean, there's a lot of teams that if things fall right. I really like what LSU had. To me, one of the more underrated coaching jobs was what Ed Orgeron did at LSU, and I don't think any of us had any idea, wrongly so, the impact that Joe Burrow would have on that team, his toughness and how that toughness permeated that entire program. So no, I think there's some teams, and hey, if you want a game that may be, as we sit here in August and look at the season, that may be as key as any, just one game, and I know it's dangerous to pick one game as far as how the playoffs might look. What about that Notre Dame-Georgia game? Because if Notre Dame beats Georgia and Georgia goes on either to win the SEC or get into the SEC championship game, that's one of those things that come selection time, it's going to be fascinating to see how it all plays out. Or what about this? What if Georgia loses to Notre Dame and then goes on and wins the SEC championship game and beats Alabama? So I think that Notre Dame Georgia game